Hello. In this demo, I'm going to take you through a basic data validation workflow where we have an analyst defining business logic and a business user validating the output of that business logic to then inform the correction of the data itself in order to improve quality. And we're going to do this in a legal financial context. So to give you a bit of an intro to the problem statement, let's suppose we're a bank. We have a bunch of mortgages and we want to resell those mortgages onto another bank. In order to do so, we need to price the mortgages. And in order to price them, we need to do some due diligence to check how good or bad is this debt. And so one of the checks that you do due diligence on is whether the borrower of the mortgage matches the owner of the mortgage listed, and the owner is the person listed on the land registry title. And there's a bunch of reasons why they might not match. It could be that they go by different names, like a nickname and a formal full name. It could be that they got married and had like a last name change in between each of these things being updated. Or it could be that for some legitimate reason, the owner is actually different to the borrower, like somebody's parents bought them a house, for example. Okay, so let's go ahead and do these checks in Kawa. So we're looking at our mortgage data here. We have a list of the borrowers and a list of the owners. And you'll notice here that the order is different between the borrower and the owner, but Kawa's smart enough to recognize that these are the same people, and so it's passed the due diligence for that record. Then for the next row, we hit an error where not an error, but a non-passed record because it's not recognizing the association between Michael Brown and Mike Brown. And then again, we have another kind of not passed record here where Jane Doe becomes Jane Smith. Now, I'm an analyst, and so I don't have the authority to ascertain whether these people are in fact the same or not. I need to pass this on to a lawyer for review. So what I'm going to do is set up an automation that notifies my legal team whenever there's a false record appearing in this data set. Let me just go ahead and run this now so you can see what happens from the lawyer's perspective. All right, so now we're in the legal inbox. And we can see there's this automation sent 0 minutes ago telling us that there's 2 mortgages to review. So this is the view now that the lawyer will have. They can come in here and say, and add some comments. So this was a nickname, and this one here, I can go as a lawyer and check there does exist a marriage certificate with a name change, and that's what's accounting for this discrepancy. So now I'm going to go and publish my comments, and then it's back over to the analyst to incorporate those comments in the master file, which we do just by hitting refresh, and now those appear nicely here. So now I have the legal approval to go and edit the underlying records to make these things match. So let's go ahead and look at Mike Brown here. We're going to go and edit his name to be Michael. And now watch this value here when I hit refresh. It's now flipped over to true, and the owner has been updated to Michael Brown. And then we can do the same thing here with, Jane Doe. We'll come in and edit this to Jane Smith. Once again, hit refresh, and now that record is true as well. So now all the due diligence is passed on all of these mortgages. The lawyer's view of this, when we hit refresh, is an empty view, which means they're going to stop getting notified. We only notify them when there's actually data to review. But the world is never that simple. So suppose there's now a regulation change. Okay, so this obscure new regulation has come in which says if there is a tenancy in common, which in the UK means that different people have partial ownership of the house, but nobody has 100% ownership. So if there's a tenancy in common on the property, the primary owner has to be also the person on the mortgage whose credit score was used. So they have to be the primary borrower as well. Okay, so now what that means from a data perspective is that the order matters. We need our primary borrower to be our primary owner. So we're gonna have to update this logic. And let's pull up the underlying data here. So if we look at the land registry titles here, we'll see this first person here has a tenancy in common. This person here has a joint tenancy. This one has a joint tenancy. We don't have to click through every record one at a time to see what their tenancy is. We rather want this column to appear in our mortgages table, like a VLOOKUP in Excel. So I'm gonna just drag and drop this, and boom, just like that, it's gone and done a join. And now we can use this new field to edit our due diligence formula. So I'm gonna come and convert this into a block leaf format, which is a visual way of seeing and constructing formulas. So we wanna do a if formula here, where we do one thing for tenancy in commons and another thing for joint tenancies. So let's bring in the tenancy, and then we'll just add a text input so that we can say when that's in common. And then if we go and move this back to input, oh, I forgot to edit the condition, so we want to say pay attention to the order, which is what happens when I delete that parameter there. And now you'll see we have two that have failed to pass the due diligence because the order is different and they're a tenancy in common, this record as well as this record. And so now my lawyer is going to be hit with another email saying, hey, you have two more things to review. So that was just a quick demo to show you how you can create a collaborative data validation process between analysts and business users in Kawa. Thanks for watching.